Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of my Star Wars theory videos of what if Qui-gon Jyn freed Shmi Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 1 or Phantom Menace. So when we left off in the last video, Anakin was just beginning his Jedi training under Qui-gon Jyn, and recently the Jedi had managed to kill Darth Maul Insidious, leaving Darth Plagueis on the loose, who had gone into hiding and was looking for a new Sith apprentice. So if you guys haven't seen parts 1 and 2, I would strongly recommend you go and see that, but yeah, we're going to get into this video. So anyway, Darth Plagueis is into hiding and he's basically looking for a new Sith apprentice. I think that Plagueis would probably be able to turn Count Dooku to the dark side and use him as a bit of a figurehead, and then, yeah. In the original timeline, Plagueis wanted to use Palpatine as a political figurehead as well as a Sith apprentice, because Plagueis was a Moon and basically the Republic kind of discriminated against non-human species, so Plagueis basically could not become a senator and basically be the Senate, I guess, basically. But yeah. Anyway, Count Dooku was the person that Darth Plagueis was kind of wanting to get as his apprentice in the original timeline, and Darth Sidious was actually quite jealous of Darth Plagueis, but yeah, basically Palpatine basically killed Darth Plagueis before that could happen, but in this timeline it's kind of a reverse role, leaving Plagueis alive. Anyway, so Plagueis would have to blackmail a politician or make an alliance with one in hopes of covering up the creation of the Clone Army. Now, it's important to remember that Cypher Dyas, who was a Jedi, commissioned the Clone Army during the Battle of Naboo, which is during the same time as the Battle of Naboo, which we saw in the Phantom Menace in the original timeline. So in this timeline, basically, Palpatine wouldn't have turned Dooku into... basically wouldn't have caused Dooku to kill Cypher Dyas at the same point, which would basically mean that Cypher Dyas would be alive for slightly longer. Plagueis' first mission, once he turned Dooku, would be killing Cypher Dyas and to basically get the inhibited ships into the clones, much like we saw in the original timelines, which were obviously able to execute Order 66. However, we do know that Cypher Dyas kept the creation of the clone army secret, and that it wouldn't be too difficult for Dooku to stage an attack like he used the pikes to do it in the original timeline, except Dooku would basically do it himself, either like force push or force choke Cypher Dyas to make sure that he basically died. But yeah, he would, in this timeline, he would not use the Pike Syndicate. Dooku would take his identity, obviously Cypher Dyas' identity, and then order the inhibitor chips, which executed Order 66. He would not be able to execute the Order 66 himself as well. Plagueis would have made him play the role of the Separatist leader, and basically, because Palpatine was the Senate, I think that's what caused the clones to have to follow Order 66. Anyway, Plagueis would need a political figurehead, like I said, to basically allow Order 66 to happen. So for this video, we're going to use a character who we have seen previously in the original timeline of Star Wars. I think a good candidate would be Rush Clovis from Clone Wars Season 6. Plagueis would manipulate him into becoming a Republic Senator by handing him over information, money, and whatever basically would cause Clovis to basically ally with him. So they would basically be allied, and Clovis would basically be a figurehead, and he'd eventually make his roll up to the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, much like how we saw Palpatine do in the original timeline, but this would basically be Clovis, who isn't a Sith Lord, but yeah. And he would potentially have to have a lot of blackmailing or bribery. The Clone Wars would basically happen similar to the original timeline, except, basically with the droid attacks to begin with before the clone creation happened. But in this timeline, Anakin would have been trained by Qui-gon Jyn, which would mean that he would be more disciplined and less arrogant. This would also mean that he's far more likely to follow the Jedi Code, as well as the fact that he would be far less likely to fall to the dark side. Count Dooku would have heard about the news that Qui-gon Jyn thought the spoil was the chosen one, and would have reported it back to Darth Plagueis. Much like Palpatine did in the original timeline, I think the Plagueis would have wanted to turn Anakin to the dark side, but it's important to remember that in this timeline, Anakin was much more close to the Jedi, the light side, even though Qui-Gon would probably have told Anakin a bit about the dark side. Obviously, there's no Padme and Obi-Wan in this timeline, which are basically big factors, and Anakin's less arrogant, which means he's not expecting to become a Jedi Master. So I guess what you could say is that Anakin did not just have the dogmatic view of the Jedi, but he was more of a Jedi, if you know what I mean. So in this timeline, the events of Geonosis would not happen if there was no Padme for Obi-Wan to basically go on his detective investigation for, as no one was trying to assassinate her, because she'd already been assassinated. So this would mean that Geonosis wouldn't happen. This would also mean that the Jedi would not know about the creation of the clone army, so I think that Plagueis would stage an attack using Dooku's separatist allies and all the battle droids, which would basically could potentially happen at Coruscant, which would allow Clovis to authorize the use and creation of the clone army. So yeah, basically we have a clone army on the loose as well as the droid army, with Plagueis sitting in the shadows manipulating everything. So guys, this is the end of part 3. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.